You know what nobody tells you about being a man in your 60s? That you could walk into a room and have a woman 15 years younger actually notice you, not out of politeness, not because she's being friendly, but because something about you just catches her attention in a way she didn't expect. I watched this happen 3 weeks ago at a friend's dinner party. My buddy Richard is 67, divorced about 5 years now, and he's not what anyone would call classically handsome. But when he arrived, this woman in her early 50s, successful lawyer, the kind who's seen everything, she actually stopped mid-sentence when he walked past her to grab a drink. And I caught up with her later and asked her what that was about. Her answer? She said she couldn't put her finger on it exactly, but something about him just felt different from other men his age. Now here's what's fascinating. Richard doesn't work out obsessively. He's not wealthy. He doesn't dress like he's trying to be 30 again. But he does something that most men our age have completely stopped doing, and it shows up in ways that trigger something deep in female psychology. What I'm going to share with you today isn't about becoming someone you're not. It's about understanding what mature women actually respond to when they encounter a man over 60. Because I promise you, it's not what the culture has been telling you matters. Let me tell you something that might actually surprise you. There's a psychologist named Dr. Wednesday Martin who studied attraction patterns in women over 40, and what she found contradicts almost everything we've been told about aging and desirability. Women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s reported that their attraction triggers became more sophisticated, more specific, and in many cases more intense than when they were younger. They weren't looking for perfection. They were looking for signals, specific physical markers that told them something about who a man really was. And the interesting part? Most of these markers have nothing to do with what we see in magazines or movies. Think about it this way. When you were 25, you probably thought attraction was about having six-pack abs and thick hair. And maybe that mattered to 25-year-old women. But the women you're meeting now, the ones who've lived through marriages, careers, raised kids, buried parents, they're not evaluating men the same way anymore. They've developed what researchers call sophisticated attraction filters. They're reading things about you that you don't even know you're showing them. And this is actually good news, because once you understand what they're looking for, you can make adjustments that are completely within your control. So let me walk you through what I've learned from talking to dozens of women, reading the research, and honestly, from watching which men in my social circle actually attract female attention and which ones become invisible. I'm going to focus on 5 specific things, 5 areas of your physical presence that women are scanning constantly, usually without even realizing they're doing it. And I guarantee you, the third one is something you've probably ignored for the last decade, but it's actually one of the most powerful attraction signals you possess. Let's start with something you use every single day, but probably never think about in terms of attraction. Your hands. Now, I know that sounds almost too simple, but stay with me because this goes deeper than you think. Women notice hands constantly. When you're talking, when you're holding a glass, when you reach for something, when you gesture to make a point. A woman's eyes track your hands more than almost any other part of your body except your face. And there's evolutionary psychology behind this. Hands signal capability. They tell a story about what kind of man you are. Are you someone who builds things, fixes things, takes care of things? Or are you someone who's let himself go? I had a conversation with a woman named Patricia. She's 58, runs her own consulting business, definitely not someone who's easily impressed. She told me about going on a coffee date with a guy she'd met through mutual friends. She said he was interesting on paper, successful retirement portfolio, well-traveled, good conversationality. But within the first 10 minutes, she knew it wasn't going anywhere. Why? His hands. She said they were so neglected, nails ragged and dirty, skin cracked and dry, and the way he fidgeted with everything on the table, constantly moving his coffee cup, tapping his fingers, playing with the napkin. She said those hands told her he was anxious, didn't take care of himself, and probably wasn't capable of taking care of anything else either. Now, was that fair? Maybe not entirely. But attraction isn't about fairness. It's about signals, and his hands were sending all the wrong ones. Here's what matters with hands. First, basic maintenance. And I don't mean getting manicures or making them look feminine. I mean clean nails, trimmed properly, skin that isn't cracked and bleeding. Get a basic hand moisturizer. Use it once a day. This takes 30 seconds and makes a massive difference in how your hands look. Second, pay attention to how your hands move. Confident men have calm hands. They gesture when they talk, but the movements are controlled, purposeful. Nervous men have busy hands, always fidgeting, always looking for something to do. Start noticing your own hand behavior. Are you constantly touching your face, playing with objects, cracking your knuckles? These are nervous tells, and women read them instantly. Third, and this is important, your hands should show that you actually use them. Some calluses, some evidence that you do things that's actually attractive. It shows capability. The problem isn't rough hands from work. The problem is neglected hands that show you've stopped caring. There's a huge difference. A man who works with wood or fixes cars or gardens, his hands are going to show that, and women find that compelling because it demonstrates competence. But those same hands should still be clean, nails trimmed, basically cared for. That combination of capability plus self-care is what creates the attraction response. Now let's talk about something that might seem random, but I promise you it's not. Your forearms. Yes, really. There's actually research on this. Multiple studies have found that women rank forearms surprisingly high on lists of attractive male body parts, often higher than chest, sometimes even competing with facial features. And for men our age, this becomes even more relevant because forearms are one of the few body parts that can actually look better with age if you maintain even basic fitness. Here's why forearms matter so much. They're visible in normal situations. You're not walking around shirtless showing off your chest. But when you roll up your sleeves, reach for something, hand someone an object, your forearms are right there. And women notice. Forearms signal physical capability in a very direct way. The muscles there are functional. They're about gripping strength, about being able to do things with your hands. When a woman sees defined forearms on a man over 60, it tells her this is someone who's still vital, still physically capable, still engaged with the physical world. I know a guy named Tom. He's 64, average height, average build, nothing particularly remarkable about his appearance. But Tom does basic strength training twice a week. Nothing crazy, just fundamental exercises. And he told me about being at a community event where he was helping set up tables. He'd rolled up his sleeves because it was warm, and he noticed this woman watching him while he worked. Later, they ended up talking and eventually started dating. She told him months into their relationship that the first thing she actually noticed was his forearms when he was moving those tables. She said they looked strong and capable, and it made her curious about him. The practical side of this is straightforward. You don't need massive bodybuilder forearms. You just need to maintain enough muscle definition that your forearms look functional rather than atrophied. Basic exercises help. Farmer's carries, dead hangs from a pull-up bar if you're able, even just squeezing a grip strengthener while you watch TV. And here's something most men don't think about. Hydration affects how your forearms look. Dehydrated skin looks thin and old. Properly hydrated skin looks healthier and actually makes muscle definition more visible. Drink more water and don't hide your forearms under long sleeves year-round. If it's appropriate for the situation, roll up your sleeves. Let that subtle signal of capability show. Now we get to something more subtle but incredibly powerful. Your eyes, and specifically what women read from them. Everyone knows eyes matter for attraction, but what matters isn't what most men think. It's not about having a certain eye color or shape. It's about what your eyes communicate about your internal state, about whether you're truly present or mentally somewhere else. There's a therapist I follow who works specifically with people over 50 on relationships, and she talks about something she calls the quality of attention. She says that women can tell within seconds whether a man is actually there in a conversation or just going through the motions. And that quality shows up first in the eyes. When you're talking to a woman, are you actually looking at her, taking her in, listening to what she's saying? Or are your eyes wandering, checking your phone, scanning the room for something more interesting? Here's what's fascinating about eyes on older men. The lines around them, the crow's feet that most men worry about, those can actually increase attractiveness if they're the right kind of lines. Research from multiple universities has found that smile lines make faces appear more trustworthy, warmer, more genuine. Those lines tell a story of a life spent expressing emotion, laughing, squinting into sunlight, engaging with the world. That's attractive when it's combined with eyes that actually pay attention. I talked to a woman named Susan. She's in her mid-50s, and she described meeting her current partner at a book club event. She said he wasn't the most attractive man there by conventional standards, but when she spoke to him, his eyes stayed on her face. She felt seen, felt interesting, felt like what she was saying actually mattered to him. She said most men she'd met recently would look past her while she talked, clearly waiting for their turn to speak or looking for someone else to talk to. But this man's eyes stayed present, and that created an immediate connection that led to everything else. The practical application here involves both health and practice. Health-wise, take care of your eyes. Get enough sleep so they're not constantly bloodshot. Stay hydrated so they don't look sunken. If you have vision problems, get glasses that actually work. Squinting constantly because you're too vain for reading glasses doesn't make you look younger. It makes you look like you're not taking care of yourself. But the practice side matters even more. Practice being present in conversations. Put your phone away, actually away, not just face down on the table. Look at people when they talk. Let your face respond to what they're saying. This is trainable. Most men have just gotten lazy about it, and it shows in their eyes first. Now, I need to tell you about something that most men our age have completely given up on, but it might be the single most important thing on this entire list. Your posture, specifically your shoulders, and how you carry yourself through space. I cannot overstate how much this matters. Posture is one of the fastest ways women categorize men, and it happens almost instantly. Confident or defeated, vital or declining, worth approaching or best avoided. These judgments happen in under 3 seconds, and they're based almost entirely on how you stand and move. Think about the last time you were in a public place, maybe a restaurant or a store. Think about the other men around your age that you saw. How many of them were standing upright with shoulders back? How many were shuffled forward, rounded shoulders, head down, looking at the ground? I'm willing to bet the ratio was heavily skewed toward the slouchers. And here's the thing. That slouched posture doesn't just make you look older. It makes you invisible. It signals withdrawal, surrender, that you've given up on engaging with the world. There's research from multiple psychology departments showing that expansive postures, shoulders back, chest open, head level, increase perceived attractiveness more than facial symmetry, more than clothing, more than almost any other factor. The body language of confidence creates attraction in ways that perfect features without confidence never will. And for men over 60, posture becomes a choice that broadcasts either continued vitality or acceptance of decline. I watched this play out dramatically at a friend's retirement party. 2 men showed up who'd worked at the same company, similar age, similar build, probably within a year of each other. One walked in with rounded shoulders, shuffling steps, head tilted down. The other came through the door with shoulders back, steady stride, chin level. The difference was so dramatic that people assumed the second guy was significantly younger. Later, I found out he was actually 6 months older. Same age, completely different impression, and it all came down to how they carried themselves. The immediate fix for posture is awareness. Right now, as you're watching this, check your shoulders. Are they rolled forward? Pull them back. Lift your chin so it's level rather than pointed down. Feel how that changes your entire physical presence. Now here's the harder part. You need to maintain that throughout the day, and that requires building the muscles that support good posture, particularly your upper back and core. You don't need a gym membership for this. Basic exercises at home, rows with resistance bands, planks, simple shoulder blade squeezes. 15 minutes 3 times a week will create noticeable improvements within a month. But beyond the physical exercises, there's a mental component. You have to decide that you're not done yet, that you're still engaged with life, still interested in the world, still someone who takes up space with confidence rather than trying to shrink and disappear. That decision shows up first in your posture, and women read it immediately. Finally, let me tell you about something that brings all of this together. Your mouth, specifically how it moves when you speak and smile. This isn't just about having good teeth, though dental health absolutely matters. This is about the entire complex of how your mouth expresses who you are. Women watch mouths constantly during conversation. They're reading not just your words, but how you form them, the confidence or hesitation in your speech, the genuineness of your smile. Let me break down what actually matters here. First, basic dental maintenance. You don't need perfect Hollywood teeth. In fact, overly perfect teeth can look artificial and off-putting. But you need clean teeth, fresh breath, evidence that you're taking care of your health. Multiple surveys have found that dental health is one of the first things women notice about men, and for older adults, that percentage actually increases. If you've been putting off dental work, stop putting it off. Get your teeth cleaned, deal with any problems, invest in your oral health. The return on investment in terms of attraction is massive. Second, the quality of your smile. Can women tell the difference between a genuine smile and a forced one? Absolutely, they can, with remarkable accuracy. A real smile reaches your eyes, appears naturally, and feels unstudied. A fake smile looks like you're trying to sell something. Practice smiling genuinely by thinking about things that actually make you happy before you smile. Your face will learn the pattern, and it'll start happening more naturally. Third, how you speak. Do you mumble? Rush your words? Trail off at the ends of sentences? Or do you speak clearly, with appropriate pausing, with confidence that what you're saying is worth hearing? A speech pathologist explained to me that people process speech partly visually, watching mouth movements along with hearing sound. This is why video calls feel more connecting than phone calls. We're seeing the mouth work. For men over 60, speaking with clarity and purpose signals confidence and mental sharpness. Mumbling and rushing signal insecurity and cognitive decline, even if that's not accurate. I know a woman who described her attraction to her partner starting with watching how he spoke. She said he talked in a measured way, with pauses that showed he was thinking about his words, not just filling silence. His smile appeared slowly and genuinely, never rushed or performed. She said she trusted that mouth before she consciously decided to trust the man, and that trust made everything else possible. So there you have it. 5 specific areas that women are constantly scanning when they encounter men our age. Hands that show you're capable and that you care for yourself. Forearms that demonstrate you're still physically vital and functional. Eyes that communicate you're present and emotionally available. Posture and shoulders that signal you haven't surrendered to age. And a mouth that expresses genuine emotion and confident communication. None of these require surgery, extreme expense, or becoming someone you're not. They require attention and the recognition that attraction doesn't stop at 60 or 70. It just shifts focus. The men who understand this, who maintain these areas while others neglect them, they create an almost unfair advantage. They get noticed in rooms where other men their age become part of the furniture. And here's my final thought that ties this all together. All 5 of these things share something fundamental. They're about how you engage with the world around you. Hands that do things, forearms that work, eyes that see people, shoulders that face forward, a mouth that communicates clearly. These aren't static features to display. They're active expressions of how you're choosing to live right now. Women read them because they tell a story that words alone can't tell. And for men our age, that story can be about continued engagement with life or gradual retreat from it. The choice shows up in these 5 areas, whether you realize it or not. Now, what I've covered today is about what women see when they look at you. But attraction isn't just visual. There's a whole dimension about physical presence, how you occupy space around a woman, how you create that subtle tension that leads to something more. And this is exactly why you should watch the video appearing on your screen right now about the specific ways physical proximity and touch work in mature attraction. Because you can have everything I've talked about today working perfectly, but if you don't understand how to translate that into actual connection, you're leaving the most powerful tool completely unused. That video breaks down exactly how to create that connection in ways that feel natural, never creepy, and trigger genuine interest from the women you meet.